Here's the thing. It's Child Month, and you probably already knew that, and this year's celebration looks a little different though, or rather a lot different, and you of course know why too. But while COVID-19 has changed the social landscape, what remains is government's commitment to our nation's children and Jamaica Magazine's unyielding dedication to celebrating tomorrow's promise. So with that, welcome to the show. I'm Theodore Henry, helping to celebrate our little ones, but still not losing sight of our commitment to beat COVID-19. After all, we want other traditional celebrations to be normalized soon. So let's get right to what we've put together just for you.
CARE applicants who applied for compassionate grant and who applied for their compassionate grant to be paid to a remittance company, just to update you that your compassionate grant has been paid over to the remittance company that you selected on your behalf. And your compassionate grant will be with your remittance company until the 30th of June. So that gives you all of May and it gives you all of June to collect your compassionate grant.
There is still the opportunity to provide a child with a safe, fulfilling environment in which to grow. Many children are still in the state's care, but would embrace the warmth and sense of belonging that comes with being part of a family. If before this virus you felt the need to adopt, don't let its presence stop you. Once you can, consider adopting a child. To help you decide, we've packaged a little something on how the process works in Jamaica.
The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has taken steps to make the adoption process much easier. Joining me is Adoption Coordinator, Mrs. Maxine Bugelo, who will be giving us some information about the changes made. Thank you for coming, Mrs. Bugelo.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going to go straight into it. What are the changes made?
Okay, before 2016, we had a two-tier system. First, applicants were asked to complete a pre-adoption form and then submit that to us. Now that would normally take some time. So we reviewed the system and said that it would be best if maybe we erase that part of the process. So now what applicants have to do is that they go straight to our website and where they will find the adoption forms. The forms include the application form, the medical form, one for the child and the applicants, and the guidelines which outline all the information and all the required documents that need to be submitted with the application form.
Awesome. And what are the required documents?
The required documents are the birth certificates, marriage certificates if they are married, job letters and income statements, references from persons who know them, not a family member. And the references should not necessarily speak only to the person being a nice or a good person, but it should speak to how would they care for a child. That should be included, their capacity to care for a child. If the child is in school, we would need a child's last school report as well.
And when all of that is completed, what's the next step?
The next step would be submit all of those to the CPFSA. When it is here now, we would review to ensure that all documents are here. Now, if all the information is there, the application is reviewed, given a number, and assigned to a caseworker. And a letter would be sent to the applicant informing them of this and who the person is. Once the caseworker gets that application, that caseworker would now start to prepare appointments to interview both the applicants, the child, and whosoever, the birth parents, because the birth parents are also very important in the process.
And what if there are no birth parents?
Well, if there are no birth parents, we would have had death certificates for the parents if they have died. If they are nowhere around or cannot be located, there are avenues that we would have to take internally to ensure that we try our best to find them.
And once that's completed, what's next?
Once that is completed, the officers then would have to do a comprehensive report. And that report would have to be compiled and then submitted to the adoption board, because the adoption board is the only agency in Jamaica that can approve adoption at that level. So after the approval, it is submitted to the adoption board and approval is given, then it is now preparation for court. Because court is where it is finalized legally.
How long does that process usually last?
The entire process, we are at now 3 to 6 months, depending on if there are no challenges.
And once you get to court, then?
Once we get to court, court is held depending on the availability by the court. Some courts have set dates, while others will have to submit our documents and await their decision as to when we can come to court. Now, once the court has signed off on those documents, for adoption orders, it is the applicant's responsibility to collect those, and they will take a copy to the RGD, where they will apply for the new birth certificate for the adopted child.
And is there any cost associated with any of this process?
No, adoptions are free in Jamaica.
Is there anything else that Jamaica needs to know about the process?
We need adopters, prospective adopters, to understand that it is important that they submit all the documents, and it is also important that they are truthful in the stories that they give pertaining to how a child is placed in their care. Because what we find is that sometimes when we approach birth parents, they are not aware that this child is being adopted. They know that somebody is caring for their child, but that was not the arrangement that they had opted for. Persons generally who wish to adopt should love a child, should really want to take care of a child, because it's a lifelong investment. Persons, they should have proper accommodation for their child. They should be able to financially can afford to take care of that child. And they should be willing to accept that child as theirs. And that is very important, because we see sometimes that persons adopt for many different reasons, and this can affect the relationship of that child for the rest of their lives.
How can people reach out to you to find out or to just inquire about the adoption process?
Okay, we have an email address, adoption@childprotection.gov.jm, and our straight line to the unit is 922-1751.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bugelo.
You're welcome.
The National Parenting Support Commission cares. Parents, we're here for you. Here is another tip. Empower your children. You empower them simply by ensuring that you're practicing good hygiene. Wash your hands thoroughly and often. Your children must see this and they must model this behavior. So each time, have them come, wash their hands properly and wash their hands very often. Secondly, you empower them if you continue to provide structure at home. So they are to get up the same time in the mornings, do the tasks that you have assigned them. Those tasks include the schoolwork. Ensure that while they're doing schoolwork, you're doing work right beside them so that you're able to monitor the exercises. Of course, carve out time for fun. Family time is very important. This will also make them feel as if there's some semblance of normalcy at home. This is so important. Structure, routines, good hygiene practices, these are some of the suggestions. National Parenting Support Commission.
We're still focusing on the little ones, this time recognizing that there has to be some sort of balance between keeping them engaged in fun activities and ensuring that academic learning continues. The Ministry of Education has a program to cover at least one part of that equation. Learn more about that next.
180 teachers have been trained to deliver lessons to students through the web-based one-on-one communication learning management system. The Education Ministry has made resources available to students from kindergarten up to grade 13. A detailed list of online digital learning resources have been compiled and shared with all schools. The ministry has also partnered with several educational providers to deliver content for students at all levels of the education system. These include Book Fusion, Learning Hub, EduFocal, and Cheetah. The online platform Book Fusion Limited exposes children to a host of free ebooks. The website allows students to read ebooks on the primary exit profile PEP, biographies, history, literature, and math, just to name a few. The Learning Hub Online is a Caribbean-based online test preparation website. It offers tests on all subjects pursued by students in grades 1 to 13. It also has hundreds of interactive PEP, G6NAT, CSEC, and CAPE test materials for each subject offered. EduFocal is another partner of the Education Ministry. The innovative social learning platform combines study with play. While students are at home, the platform is offering free virtual lessons led by PEP master teachers. Study guides, tutorial videos, questions and answers, and examinations are also offered on the site. Cheetah, or Connect to Higher Education Electronic Tools, Apps and Help, is offering free PEP workbooks to students in math, science, ability, and language arts. The small corporation also creates unique educational resources for the pre-primary and primary levels, which include tablets, apps, toys, headphones, tablet accessories, and books. Outside of these partnerships, steps are being taken to liaise with other private and public sector stakeholders.
We have been in contact with Flow, and Flow will also be making internet availability readily accessible to persons on our platform so that they can continue with their education.
The ministry is also in partnership with the Public Broadcasting Corporation of Jamaica, PBCJ, and RJR Gleaner to deliver live and recorded educational content to students at all levels of the education system. The programs will air on PBCJ Mondays to Fridays from 7:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. with rebroadcasts on the weekends. On TVJ, it's Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to midday.
25 community channels have also been brought into play, and the children now have gotten so accustomed to that kind of interaction with their teachers and with the educational system that it's going to be challenging when we have to return to the classroom, because they're doing very, very well. We have a 70% coverage across the island, and the other 30% where we don't have access to cable and to internet services, we do it physically, manually.
Parents and guardians are spending more time with their little ones since COVID-19 has forced more of us to work from home. For many, it's an eye-opener about their children's personality traits, their likes, their dislikes, and just how much teachers usually contribute to their development, beyond what's just in the books. It can be stressful, but we've got you covered, and let's begin with our toddlers. Take a look.
Can be very frustrating, and a lot of times people don't feel like they really have an answer to everything, and the truth is that that is the reality. But there are different things that people can try, We're not saying that any one thing works for everybody or that you'll even get the outcome that you want immediately. Especially when you're dealing with young children, you might have to try something several times before you see a particular result. So for example, if it is that you want a child to learn the difference between right and wrong, a lot of times in the past we use pain to teach that this is wrong, right? But we find that ultimately when you hit a child, what you're teaching them to do is when I don't like something, I should hit and I should lash out. What you want to try in a situation like that, you can try removing privileges. If there are things that the child might love to do, or even the age-old timeout, you know, where you say, listen, for this period, you have to sit by yourself, there's no communication, there's no talking, sit down and be still. Sometimes you have to physically just hold your child and help them to breathe through it, because you have some children where they have so much emotion and so much anger and they want to get it out, that it's really difficult for them to regulate it at such a young age. And so you have to physically hold them, put your hand on them, help them to breathe through it until they're calm. And with children, even if they don't understand necessarily the big concept of right and wrong, they can sometimes understand tone, right? And tone is not the same thing as lashing out and using certain words and calling them different names. Tone is being firm and saying, I do not want you on this. So for example, if a child keeps going up on something, you might have to take them off it 10 times, right? And continue to reinforce with the same tone and consistency that you do not want them on this. And also for younger children, sometimes you have to be the one to remove whatever it is that you don't want them to interact with from the environment, right? Because they're so young and so impulsive, you can't necessarily leave it to them to understand I shouldn't touch this thing, right? So that's how we deal with the younger children.
Every age group presents its own challenges, so we also compiled some parenting techniques for those with teens.
For teenagers, it's a little harder in some ways, and in other ways it's a little easier because they do understand the difference between right and wrong. It's clearer what are some of the things that they love, and you can remove those things. But one of the things that's really important with teenagers is really to take the time to make sure that they understand that their feelings and their opinions are valued. So in the moment, yes, I'm removing these things, but I'm also having a conversation with you about why you won't have access to these things for a particular period, right? We're explaining why this thing might be dangerous to you, whether or not you agree with it. I am the parent, right? This is where I am coming from. It really requires a conversation, because ultimately what you want to teach them to do, is to reason and to think, right? You don't want to just be disciplining and you're not helping them to think through it and to use proper judgment and reasoning skills. And so those are some of the things that you can try.
If the child becomes stubborn, the child is more obstinate, and the child has a fixed mindset, if you will, that this is what he or she is going to continue to do, then you might need professional help. You might need to call the commission, or you might need to call a social worker or a guidance counselor to help for you, because sometimes parents don't have the language either to even explain why this behavior is wrong. And that causes friction. Once the friction starts, then we recommend that you get a third party involved, because it could become worse.
So it may seem like you're being asked to do a lot. Spend some more time with your children, monitor and put in more time into homeschooling them, wash your hands regularly, use a hand sanitizer, cough in your elbow, wear a mask, eat healthy, exercise, take care of the elderly, and on and on and on. I know, it can be hard keeping up. But in all of this, never ever neglect your mental health. Importantly, pay attention to your stress level, which could increase simply because of this pandemic. Here are the physical signs that you may be stressed. There are 5 of them. Constant headaches, neck and shoulder pain, having an upset stomach or not feeling hungry, a lump in your throat, tight muscles, and a heavy chest. Now, if that's you, here's what you need to do. When experiencing emotional turmoil, the first thing you want to do is to stop and notice how you're feeling. Take note of it. Next, engage with the world around you. You also want to try to get more sleep if that's something that you realize you need. Also, notice and name your feelings and thoughts and refocus on what it is that you have to do. Also, it may be useful to keep a stress diary or talk to someone like the professionals at the Ministry of Health's Mental Health Unit or contact them through their COVID-19 helplines at 888-1-LOVE. We're not immune to stress. Sometimes it just happens. But getting over it is one way that we'll create a stable human resource that will help make our country the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. In understanding how COVID-19 works and thrives, we want you to ultimately understand what it is that you need to do to help fight this virus. One important thing that you can do from the comfort of your own space is developing a healthy body through exercise. Here are some tips on losing weight and toning the body while staying at your yard.
You want this lean, muscular physique and well-toned body, framed for the beach, carnival parade, or just your regular dressed down or formal attire. You want to cut the fat and develop that noticeable defined muscle and shape, but not significant muscle size. There's nothing wrong with any of that, as long as you remember the most important thing is not a summer or designer body, but rather a healthy body. By doing efficient exercises and controlling your weight, you can expect to safely lose between 1 and 2 pounds a week on your journey to a more fit body. But doctors recommend that you should not lose more than 1 to 2 pounds per week. For many people, even this rate may be too aggressive in terms of dietary and exercise modifications.
That body is not just going to come overnight. It's not going to come within 2 weeks or a month, depending. It all depends on the type of activity you do, how you do it.
Within 2 months, if you stick to your exercise program and if it's done properly, you will see and feel results. Before starting any structured exercise program, however, persons should first consult with their doctor.
The reason why we need a medical approval from our doctor is that a lot of us have pre-existing health conditions, and some of us are not as fit as we think. For example, in Jamaica, 4 in 10 is hypertensive and they don't know it. And it's the same with diabetes, 4 in 10 and don't know it. And our stats tell us 7 out of 10 Jamaicans die from a chronic disease. We define physical activity by intensity level and the frequency in which we do it. Frequency meaning how often we do it per week. For example, 2 times per week or 5 days per week. The intensity is the energy in which we use to perform the activity, meaning how hard you work out. There's 3 levels of intensity: low, moderate, and vigorous.
If you want to lose weight, the Ministry of Health recommends 60 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 5 days per week. To lose and maintain weight, 90 minutes of moderate to vigorous exercise 5 days per week is recommended. There are 2 main categories of exercise, namely aerobic and anaerobic exercise.
What this is saying that the body needs oxygen to break down fat that is stored in the body. All the calories stored in the body as fat need oxygen to break it down, that is in the tissue. So if you want to lose weight, you must do the aerobic activity to burn that fat that we use as energy when we're doing the activity. So the type of activities are like swimming, running, dancing. It is normally done for a long period of time.
When you decide to lose weight, you want results. Results keep you motivated and on track. Cardiovascular exercises are part of the aerobic category, and they help you trim down by burning extra calories. While this helps shed excess fat and strengthens your cardiorespiratory system, it won't build the tone in your muscles that you're after.
Now, when we talk about anaerobic activity, it is activity that does not need oxygen. It's quick, it's fast, it's snap. So most of the time, that activity will help to tone the muscles that we're looking for. But you cannot tone unless, we lose that fat. So you need to do the aerobic activity, then you do the anaerobic activity, which is like the weightlifting, the squats, the push-ups, the jumping, so that now you lose with aerobic and then you tone with anaerobic.
Calories are the name of the game when you're trying to lose weight. Eat fewer calories than you burn and the scale will respond.
Generally, we work with a 2,000 to 2,500 caloric intake per day for the general population. But for each person, their caloric requirements is different because we calculate it based on your specific age, your height, weight, gender, and how physically active you are. Females generally eat less because they carry less muscle mass than men, and so they weigh less. The range is different. For someone who is very slim and short, then maybe 1,800 would be a safe amount to save for that person. But for men, 2,100 would be the lower end of the spectrum.
You may create a caloric deficit, which will cause you to lose weight, but it's best to work with a balanced diet and exercise.
A caloric deficit is when you consume less calories than what you're using for the day. So usually persons try to cut their caloric intake significantly to lose a lot of weight at once, but consuming less than, say, 1,200 calories per day can cause you to have nutritional deficiencies. You can lose muscle and bone, and your body will also go into starvation mode so that you'll stop losing weight altogether.
That's a no-no. The best way to slim down and tone up is to combine balanced diet and exercise. And avoid fad diets such as low-carb, high-protein, or anything that deviates from a balanced diet.
In Jamaica, we have food-based dietary guidelines that are specific to the Jamaican population, but it's based on the 6 food groups in the Caribbean. So we have food from animals, staples, legumes and nuts, fruits, vegetables, and fats and oils.
Losing weight at a rate faster than 1 to 2 pounds per week and regularly skipping meals can leave you feeling extraordinarily hungry so that you binge at the next opportunity, causing weight regain. Plan for 3 balanced meals per day, in addition to 1 or 2 healthy snacks.
You want to include foods from all of your food groups. So say, for example, you're planning for lunch, you want to include either food from animals or a plant-based protein like beans or nuts. You have your staple foods like rice, bread, or pasta, your fruits and vegetables that you can include in a salad, and you can put your fats and oils, for example, like in pear or avocado. Healthy snacks are low in fat, low in salt, and low in sugar. So you can have a fruit or vegetables, for example, carrot sticks, or you can use dried fruits and nuts. As a general guide, 1 serving of food from animals is the palm of your hand, a cup of rice is like your fist, and fats and oils is your thumb. That's 1 serve.
This is where we add our full stop or pump the brakes on today's show. A new show is in the deck for tomorrow where you'll get more information put together by your Jamaica Magazine team. A recap of anything you missed today can be seen on the JIS YouTube channel. You can also keep up with us on our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages. Remember to help motivate your children and stand with government in the COVID-19 fight. From all of us here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. Please continue staying safe and see you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.